Thiamine can get a lot more vitamin B1 in your system than regular thiamine. So you would think it should work a lot better for neuropathy. But in a recent 12-month study, people with diabetic neuropathy took 600 milligrams of benfotiamine every day. Their thiamine levels went up substantially, but nerve outcomes did not. And I think that tells something important about nerve supplements in general. Better absorption does not automatically mean better recovery. So let's look at what benfotiamine actually does and what the research shows, and why I think nerve health usually needs a broader approach than just one ingredient. Vitamin B1, or thiamine, is essential for normal nerve function and energy production. The issue with regular thiamine is that absorption from the gut is limited, especially as the dose goes up. Benfotiamine was developed to get around some of that. It's a thiamine derivative that gives you a much greater thiamine exposure after you take it orally. Some pharmacokinetic studies have found peak thiamine levels several times higher with benfotiamine compared with regular thiamine. So if the only question is which one raises B1 levels better, benfotiamine wins pretty clearly. And that's why you see it in a lot of nerve support formulas. But this is where people can make the wrong assumption. Higher blood levels do not necessarily mean better nerve outcomes. Some of the early benfotiamine studies were very encouraging. They were short trials in diabetic neuropathy where certain symptom scores improved, including pain. So there was a reasonable thought that if we could improve thiamine availability, maybe we could improve some of the metabolic problems contributing to nerve dysfunction. But when researchers started looking longer term, the picture got more complicated. In one study following people with type 1 diabetes for 2 years, benfotiamine raised thiamine levels, but they did not see a significant improvement in peripheral nerve function compared with placebo. Then we got a more recent 12-month study in people with type 2 diabetes and symptomatic diabetic neuropathy. They used 300 milligrams twice a day, so 600 milligrams total per day. And again, benfotiamine did what it was supposed to from a standpoint of raising the thiamine levels. But the nerve outcomes were not significantly better than placebo. And they looked at more than just symptoms. They looked at different measures of nerve structure and nerve function. This is the part I think is really important. Raising the level of a nutrient in the blood is not the same thing as repairing a damaged nerve. And this is where I think supplement conversation gets too simplistic. People ask me things like, what's the best vitamin for neuropathy? What's the best form of B1? What's the best dose of alpha-lipoic acid? What's the best form of B12? These are all reasonable questions, but they are only part of the picture. In my consultations and across more than 3,000 nerve procedures I performed, nerve problems usually were not coming from a single pathway. A nerve has a lot going on biologically. It needs energy, it needs healthy mitochondrial function, it needs adequate blood flow, it needs the right nutrients available. It has to deal with oxidative stress. And depending on the person, you may also have glucose dysregulation, inflammation, nutritional deficiencies, mechanical compression, or other metabolic factors contributing to what's happening. So expecting one ingredient to handle all of that is probably asking too much. And benfotiamine is actually a good example. The form matters, so does the dose, as well as bioavailability. But that still does not tell you the whole story. So if you're looking at a nerve supplement, I would not stop at, does it contain benfotiamine? I would look at a few things first. What form are they using? Because regular thiamine and benfotiamine are not the same when it comes to absorption. Second, what dose are they actually giving you? An ingredient can be listed on the bottle and still be present at a dose that's nowhere close to what was used in research. And third, what does the human evidence actually show? Not just what happens in an animal study, but what happens in actual patients. And then here's the bigger question. What other pathways are being addressed? Because nerve health is not a one pathway problem. This is actually why I formulated NeuroAccess the way I did. I didn't want to build it just around one ingredient and act like that was the whole answer. I wanted to support several different pathways involved in nerve health. So the formula includes things like benfotiamine, methylcobalamin B12, R-alpha-lipoic acid, acetyl L-carnitine, NAC, CoQ10, curcumin, and several other ingredients. But I want to be clear about this. Containing multiple ingredients does not prove that a supplement can regenerate damaged nerves. And a supplement should never replace trying to figure out why the nerve is being affected in the first place. That matters just as much and sometimes more. If somebody has poorly controlled blood sugar, insulin resistance, excess visceral fat, a vitamin deficiency, heavy alcohol intake, poor nutrition, or maybe a mechanical nerve compression, taking a supplement does not make those problems disappear. You still have to work on the underlying issue. That means nutrition matters, metabolic health matters, exercise and regular physical activity, sleep, correcting deficiency. And if glucose dysregulation is part of the problem, improving that matters a lot as well. You also have to identify the actual cause of the nerve symptoms whenever possible. This is one of the reasons I include a 104-page nerve health guide with every order of NeuroAccess. I didn't want somebody to just buy a bottle and think, that's it, I've handled my nerve health. The supplement is one piece. The guide goes through broader nutrition, lifestyle, metabolic, and nerve health factors that can also matter, because I think that is a much more realistic way to approach this. So the bottom line on Benfotiamine is this. If you're comparing it with regular thiamine based purely on absorption, Benfotiamine comes out ahead. It is a higher bioavailability form of B1, but that does not mean Benfotiamine by itself has been proven to repair neuropathy. And I think that's the bigger lesson here. Don't look for one miracle ingredient. Look at the form, look at the dose, look at the human evidence, and then step back and ask whether you are also addressing the other things that may be affecting the nerve health in the first place. If you want to see how I built this multi-pathway approach into NeuroAccess, I'll put the information below in this video. Every order also includes this 104-page nerve health guide. And if you're comparing nerve supplements right now, watch my next video. I'll break down the actual doses used in research for several of the most common nerve support ingredients. This is where I think a lot of the nerve support labels start to look very differently.